Hello, today we are going to continue about graphing of modulus function where your f of x is now quadratic. So for example, we are going to sketch the graph of your function y equals the modulus of 2x squared minus 9x minus 5. What we are going to do first is to graph your quadratic function x squared minus 9x minus 5. Remember, when we want to graph a quadratic function, we always need to find the turning point. And in order to find the turning point, we have to complete the square. So therefore, this can be expressed as 2 bracket x squared minus 9 over 2 minus 5 over 2. In order for us to complete this, to complete the square, we have to take note that we are using this formula to add or subtract a number. So that means, in this case, your b is already negative 9 over 2 square. This will give us negative 9 over 4 square. And finally, this will become 81 over 16. So 81 over 16 is the number that we are going to add to our expression. So negative 9 over 2x plus 81 over 16. And to balance the whole expression, whatever number we added, we must also subtract. Okay? Now, take note that these first three terms here can now be expressed as a square of expressions. So that will give us x minus 9 over 4 squared. See the connection? All right. And when you try to simplify negative 81 over 16 minus 5 over 12, that will give us negative 121 all over 16. In other words, your final answer will be 2 bracket x minus 9 over 4 square minus 121 over 8. So therefore, your turning points is 9 over 4, negative 121 all over 8. All right, so the next thing is we need to find your y-intercept, and to find the y-intercept again, we let x is equal to 0. And when x is equal to 0, it will give us y is equal to negative 5. And for the x-intercept, we have to let y equal 0, so that means 2x squared minus 9x minus 5 is 0, and that will give us 2x plus 1 bracket x minus 5. This is the factored form, so therefore your x values are negative 1 over 2 and positive 5. Now that we have all the information, we can finally graph your quadratic function. Remember that my graph here is not drawn to scale, so I'm just going to estimate the values. So I'm going to start with 9 over 4. And the corresponding y value is negative 121 over 8. So my point is somewhere here. And of course, 5 is bigger than 9 over 4. So my 5 will be here, and this is the x-intercept. And negative 1 over 2 will be here. All right. And of course, your graph must pass through your y-intercept, which is at negative 5. So therefore, your graph will be this curve. So a graph of a quadratic function is a U shape. Okay, so to indicate. All right, so that means this is now the graph of your quadratic function. Now, since we have the graph of quadratic function, we can now find the graph of the modulus by letting this x-axis as your mirror line. Remember that when we are dealing with modulus, the y values must be always positive. So therefore, the values below -1/2, from -1/2 to +5, will be reflected with respect to the mirror line or with respect to your x-axis. So that means your -5 will become +5. It will be reflected up here. And your 9/4 -121 will become 9/4 +121/8. So this one will go up here. So the blue colored graph is the graph for the modulus. So that's the final graph. That means you have this one. Okay, so as you can see, we reflected it with respect to the x-axis. And since all the values after 5 are positive, those will be retained. So this is, oh sorry, this is now the graph of your modulus function. So as you notice, if your f of x is a quadratic function, the graph of the modulus becomes like a W shape. Okay? All right, so that's how we're going to graph your modulus function.